This video is regarding Farmers slash 21st Century Insurance claim number 10174575593. An accident between Julie Summers and Dustin Webster in Santee. The accident location was traveling eastbound on Pepper Drive. Right at Vulcan Street, just what would be east of Highway 67, again in Santee. It's kind of on the border of El Cajon and Santee. If you will notice, right at the accident location, Pepper Drive has widened out into a bigger turn merge area for the Vulcan Street intersection. And then it does go back narrow immediately after. The next thing to note is that Ms. Summers was driving eastbound on Pepper Drive. However, there was a person waiting for her just east of Vulcan Street. However, they were standing on the north side, just beyond this telephone pole in the picture. She was picking them up. To do so, she was basically going to be making a U-turn to grab him. Now that we know Julie's direction of travel and the fact that she was turning around to pick somebody up, let's get on to some photos that I took of the scene of the accident just a couple of minutes after it happened. And you'll notice that the story that she thinks she was in the left-hand lane turning left cannot possibly be true. The first picture is looking eastward in the direction of travel, basically in the lane that we were traveling in initially. You can see how wide it is there. You can also see where after just pulling off to the side of the road, that's where my pickup truck is, and off to the left is her damaged vehicle. The next picture is of the area where the person she was picking up was standing, but he was actually to the right-hand side of the telephone pole. This is looking northeast, by the way. The accident took place in the lane closest to the camera. And as you can see, we were traveling so slow, there's not really any skid marks. The only place where there is a skid mark as evidence for the whole scene is on the center yellow line, and we'll get to close-up pictures of that in a second. The next three shots are taken looking southeast from kind of the northeast corner of the intersection. You can take a look at the white line where the bike lane ends. That's on the north side. I'm getting kind of close to the telephone pole, not quite to it. And here, as I walk southeast into the street a little bit, so you can see the general location of the skid mark where she finally spins out. I pushed her broadside in the left-hand lane. I don't know, estimate 8 feet, 7 feet. Not far enough to get skid marks going because we were barely moving. And then she kind of spun out off of my truck into the what would be the westbound lane. She spun almost around. We'll be able to see where her original position was in a minute. But basically, this shows that she was a little bit farther down from the intersection than she says she was. She was not turning onto Vulcan like she claims she is. You can tell by where the skid mark is, where she ended up spinning out, and the lack of my skid marks. I mean, there should be skid marks all over the place. If I pushed her 50 feet, farther from the center of the intersection where you'd normally make a turn. Again, she was not turning left onto Vulcan. She was making a U-turn, but we'll get more evidence about that in a second. Now take a look on the left-hand side, again, where her car is located. We pushed her forward by hand after the accident into the position where she's sitting in that photograph and this photograph here. You can see, again, she's on the northeast corner. We pushed her forward quite a ways. We never backed her up once. We couldn't. The car was locked up because of the tire, but we did push her forward to that position. She was quite a bit beyond the intersection, again, when the accident took place, because this is where we rolled her to after the accident. This next photograph, well, take a look at where the damage is on her car. It's on the side. We didn't even touch her back bumper. Kind of odd that she would be turning left from the left-hand lane the accident took place in the left-hand lane, yet she's got damage broadside, not to the back bumper. Something's fishy there. Now let's take a look at the damage to my pickup truck. Notice the damage on the right-hand side of the front bumper and the front headlight and fender, that kind of thing right there. Just there. Look at the left-hand side. The bumper hasn't been touched. It's flexed outward, in fact. Now wait, if the damage happened in the left-hand lane, because she was turning left-hand lane, wouldn't the damage be on the left side of my truck, not on the right side of my truck? Another fishy story. Again, she's lying when she said to the police officer, I was in the left-hand lane. No chance. She was making a U-turn from the right-hand lane, where the street widened out. Now bear with me here as I try to kind of recreate, using computer animation, why what she told the police officer was a lie of what's happening. I don't know what she's told you, but what she told the police officer was a lie. Bear with me on this. I'll try to explain. Now let's take her story that she told to the police officer. Here, she's driving along in her left-hand lane, and she slows down, puts on her blinker. She's going to make a left turn to Vulcan. She'd stop right about here. As I'm coming along behind her, hey, I'd see her smack in front of me, right? Well, if I didn't stop, if I just ran smack into her, I'd hit her with the entire front bumper of my truck, right? And I would hit her on the back bumper, not broadside. How in the world could I hit her broadside in this left-hand lane if she was turning left from here? It's impossible. The other thing is remember the damage was on the right side of my truck. How would I only have damage on the right side of my truck? Now, things are really fishy, right? Well, let's look at this. What do we do every day when we slow down? Somebody's in the left-hand lane. Hey, I would either slow down and stop, or I'd hit her in the back bumper, or I'd actually merge to the right and go around where it's really wide right there, more than wide enough. But I didn't do any of those things because had I moved to the right, I would have hit her with the left side of my truck, not the right side of my truck. All right? Her story, again, is just failing at all points. Now here's the true story of what happened, based not only on my words, but based on the evidence. She was driving eastbound. She needed to pick up a passenger on the northbound side, so she was planning on turning around. Where it got wide, she moved off to the right-hand side to make it easier to turn around. She did come to a stop. There was no blinker on at that point. About the time that I get here, I'm sitting in her blind spot. She decides that she's going to make the turn. She probably doesn't see me because of the blind spot. She puts on her blinker and immediately goes at the exact same time. There was literally no warning. She goes to make the turn. Bam. She has to turn 90 degrees in order for me to hit her broadside. There's no way she could have been in any lane but this right-hand lane. I hit her. She bounces off. She skids across the yellow line. That's it. There is nothing more to the story here. She made a huge mistake by making a U-turn from the right-hand lane. I was not going too fast. There's no skid marks to show this. There's nothing. I didn't have time to come to a complete stop. Yes, I would have had I been able to. I just can't see it, what her story could be. I am not at fault. She turned from the right-hand lane. She never saw me coming. I was not too fast. Any other story that she may have told you, any story that she told to the police officer, no way. She is definitely 100% at fault. My truck, it's damaged. She needs to fix it.